Hey, hello, people! Welcome in! From Twitch, from YouTube, wherever you're watching from. Hello! Hello, D. Dylan. Xiao. Welcome in, welcome new, yes, welcome new, first time chat. Wow! Congrats! You made it! Hello. I hope you enjoy your stay. Saive! Welcome! Welcome. And Ezekiel and Mo over on YouTube. Hello to you too. Oh, your exam went well. Yay! You're welcome. You're welcome. Happy that it went well. That's always nice. Holy shit. Economic. Like, what was it? International economics, right? If I remember correctly. Hard stuff. For me, at least. My body is ready. Good. Because today it is some League lore happening. What? We're here. Because last Monday we started reading some League lore again. Oh my god. And we read Noxus. We read, let's see if I can remember. We read Ambessa, Cassiopeia, Draven. No, Darius. We will start with Draven today. I feel like there was someone else. Briar. Ambessa, Briar, Cassiopeia, and Darius. Did you finish Arcane Season 2? Yeah, I did. I watched all of Arcane. All of it. I cannot be spoiling Arcane. Hell yeah, me. If all you haven't, you should. It's a very good show. I like it. I recommend it. And hello, Gilmer. I'll say hello at least. Can't wait for Evelyn. Oh my god. Hello, quickly dying. Good evening. And someone! Again, I am live once again. How's season 2? Haven't started. If you've seen season 1 and you liked it, you will like season 2 as well. So you're versed in the Arcane universe then. That's nice. That's very nice. I have already done some Piltover and Son lore a while ago. And now we dove into Noxus. So today we will continue with some Noxus stories. I'm becoming a nerd. When was I not? Please. I was born like this. I remember when I used to read League lore, when the League lore was in the client. What? Yes, this fancy website over here with a map did not exist. Put on your glasses? No, that's Shadow Slave. We're I will not have the glasses now. You have to get used to seeing me without my glasses. Today I don't need my glasses. And it's a bit later stream today as well. I think that will just be a little bit of a trend for this week. Probably. I'm not watching the stream, I'm not getting spoiled. Oh well. It's already been out there for a long time. If you're thinking about Arcane, then it's like, I guess you could figure out some stuff more or less, or get to know the world a bit more. But like, I already knew the lore of the Son and Piltover, and I was like, there was a lot of new stuff, you know? Because of course, if you want to go 100% blind, then feel free to skip. But there will be a lot of characters probably, like there's so many more characters in Piltover and Son that were not mentioned in Arcane at all. So like, Ionia and Oxus and Demacia are in works. I will watch that first before diving into full on lore. Got it, got it. Have they say all of those? Really? Because I noticed the Jarvan banners in Arcane, which is Demacia. And then Noxus, obviously. Ionia, yeah, it was mentioned, I guess. I love all the regions for different reasons, to be honest. I know overall lore, but not deep lore. I know some I know overall. Duh. But then some more, I've deep dived into some characters more than others. And obviously some new characters I have no like some new champs I have no fucking idea who they are, or like I don't know. But usually when I play League, I have everything. I have sound effects, like obviously that's kind of needed, on, and I have voice lines turned up to 100. So I was like, I like more listen to what the voice lines are when I play. Those are the only ones that I have maxed out. Like I need to have the voice lines, the lore, you know. You can gather so much stuff from the voice lines. But enough about voice lines. Let's jump into the real explore here into Noxus once again. Because see, Noxus even have land over here. Like, this is just what you've seen. This is just, like, they're everywhere. This tiny, tiny, big frozen land. Some islands. Nothing at all. Hidden land. And then we have, like, Shurima. But Noxus have... I don't know what the fuck this is, then. Dead land. Bye-bye! Okie dokie. Alright, so we get transported over here. Perfect. Perfect. Just fixing a few things. Okay, let's go. And this one we read. Okay. Oh, I was right. We read these 4 last time. And there is a couple more left. We kind of read about some Swain, though. And some Draven. Kled probably has 0 lore. Yordle, you know. Katarina probably have some. But, jumping the gun, Draven is the one we will explore today as our first champ of the day. Draven. The brother of Darius that we learned last time. The glorious executioner. The best is wherever I decide to set the bar each day. Typical Draven. In Noxus, warriors known as Reckoners face one another in arenas where blood is spilled and strength tested. But none has ever been as celebrated as Draven. A former soldier, he found that the crowds uniquely appreciated his flair for the dramatic, not to mention the spray of blood from each of his spinning axes. Addicted to the spectacle of his own brash perfection, Draven has sworn to defeat whomever he must to ensure that his name is chanted throughout the Empire forevermore. So for you who are versed in the Shadow Slave when we read that, this is kind of the the Red Keep. Is that what it's called? The arena, the fucking glory, glory. And Draven is like, yeah? You want more? Yes. And we're not gonna watch this. Okay, he has a short story. We have some art here. Ooh. Draven's Blade. We're not gonna watch this. And then he has a login theme. Yes, cool. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Not too much interesting. But he has a short story. Interesting. With Tristana? And Lulu? What? Or maybe that's just a typical short story if they don't have one. Background. Okay. Interesting. Anyway. Biography. Not much. I thought he would have more. He's Draven after all. Yeah. I yawn and then we will head it over to see what Draven has in store for us. The glorious executioner Draven. Even as an orphan, on the streets of Basilic, Draven was headstrong and full of bravado, frequently getting into vicious brawls with older street children and shady underworld thugs. While supremely confident in his own ability, some would say overconfident, it is unlikely he would have survived childhood had it not been for his older brother, Darius, who invariably finished the fights Draven started. When Basilic fell to the war host of Noxus, the brothers came to the attention of a captain named Cyrus, after Draven made an ill-considered attempt on his life. Impressed with their fighting spirit, Cyrus allowed them to join the Noxian ranks. For years, the brothers fought as part of Cyrus' war host. Yet, while Darius took to this life easily, Draven grew steadily more bored. His martial skill was beyond question, but the daily drudgery of soldiering felt like too much effort for too little reward, and not enough personal glory. Darius inevitably rose to command his own warband, and Draven joined him. However, if he thought that would be easier, or a way to achieve greater individual recognition, he was sorely disappointed. Some say Draven chose to leave Darius' command. Some say he was forced out. Either way, his skills were highly sought after as a champion and duelist, and he was enticed to join a succession of warbands during the occupation of Ionia, before ending up with a fairly respectable contract in the Reckoning Pits. For centuries, the gladiatorial Reckoners had performed a vital role in Noxus, punishing criminals and settling disputes between the noble houses, and Draven was determined to receive the riches, adoration, and renown he felt he deserved. However, with long protracted wars on many fronts, the spectacle was beginning to lose its appeal for the common citizen. As the attention of the crowds drifted, Draven fell into a slump, spending more and more time in the seedier drinking halls and gambling dens of the capital. He was washed up and broke when the former general Jericho Swain found him. Swain had a plan to reclaim Noxus' lost glory and needed Draven's help to achieve it. Perhaps Swain only enlisted him as a way to ensure his brother Darius' support or after the fact. Regardless, Draven proved integral to Swain's plan to depose the Grand General himself, Boram Darkwill. Standing triumphant with Swain, Draven smiled for the first time in months as the shears of the Noxian people washed over him. But duty called. In the days and weeks following his unprecedented coup, many among the noble elite refused to honor Swain's succession, so they were sentenced to death in the arena. One condemned man escaped his handlers ahead of his execution. Operating on pure instinct, as was ever his wont, Draven leapt from the high balcony and hurled a pair of axes at the fleeing man, cutting him down in a heartbeat. After a moment of stunned silence, the crowd roared their approval. Draven retrieved his axes, spinning them high in the air, playing to his new fans, and savoring the rapturous applause. Thus Draven became the glorious executioner, turning routine bouts into grand spectacles that drew ever larger crowds. Soon enough, an enterprising and diminutive promoter, tired of paying to house, feed, and train reckoners only for them to die in front of dwindling audiences, approached Draven with an idea. What if the drama of the classic pit fight could be combined with Draven's natural showmanship? The Reckoners quickly became entertainers as much as combatants, each with their own carefully constructed backstory, fighting style, and flamboyant personality. The fights were often bloody. This was still Noxus, after all, but far less often ended in death. The rivalries, trash-talking, and intrigue between the best-known Reckoners became the stuff of legend throughout the Empire, but none were talked about more than Draven. For a time he lived the high life, receiving invitations to a never-ending stream of parties and banquets, mixing with the wealthy and influential of Swain's new Noxus. He even reconciled with Darius, and would occasionally still march out with a war host, defeating enemy champions and generals in single combat. Nevertheless, Draven has started to grow restless once again. He has all that he could have ever imagined and more, but now dreams of the day when the whole world knows his name. Draven. Such a... oh. Such a little bitch, this one. I am superior mentality. Love the character. And he has great voice lines in game as well. Very funny. Very funny. Now I'm very intrigued to see what this short story is about. Is it actually about Yordles? It seems so. What the fuck? How does this have anything to do with Draven? This feels so weird. Anyway, okay. I mean, it's on his page, so I guess I'm very intrigued though. The Whispering Doodad. Whatever the fuck that is. Okay. Let me tell you about my glade. On a clear night, like this night in fact, when the moon is full and ripe, silver light glitters on star-shaped leaves with hair-fine fronds like threads of silk, and night-blooming Selenea render my glade a magical wonderland. Seems very Draven. What? Is this like wrongly placed? I'm so confused. A traveler might catch the scent of far distant continents on the wind. Only hints, to be sure, but such hints! A bouquet of desert spices, sun-baked stone and salt from the crest of racing waves, mingled with the evergreen sap scent of highland firs. You might think such a turn of phrase overly whimsical, words that might tumble from the lips of a hopeless romantic or a lovelorn poet. You'd be right, of course, but that doesn't make them any less true. This is Lulu, like what the fuck? And while we're on the subject of romantics, an artistic soul might, if they came here at just the right time, see dancing patterns in the moon glow dappling through the forest canopy. Their eye might follow it around, gradually sensing an order to the play of light and shadow across the bark of a tree, or in the ripples upon a pool of water. A pattern that almost looked like it might just form a doorway of sorts, if only it would complete. But no matter how those patterns swirl and dance, they never fully coalesce into a whole. Almost never, that is. After all, the magic of these lands is skittish, with good reason, and doesn't reveal its secrets to just anyone. We nature spirits are drawn to places like this. They nurture us, as we in turn nurture them. You can find us all over the world, in some places more than others, yes, but if there's magic bubbling up, like as not you'll find a spirit like me. I flatter myself that the glade I inhabit is more infused with it than most other places in this land that mortals call Noxus. Okay, we're in Noxus at least, I guess. If you know the right way to look. Most of this world's inhabitants have forgotten how to see, how to really see. But there are others, a whole race of them in fact, who never forgot. They're called Yordles, and they're not exactly from this world. I'm friends with a lot of them. 2 of them are approaching now. It sounds like they're trying to get back to their kin, but they're having trouble with the, for want of a better word, key that's supposed to help them find their way home. You see, the low roads they travel don't run on the surface of this world, nor do they travel straight, like those of the men who call the land's hereabouts home. They curve and loop, swirling all around the place like a crazy knot you can't ever untie. Most Yordles know how to travel them relatively easy, but these 2? Let's just say that they're not the best suited traveling companions. I can hear them, just beyond the Spirit Veil, bickering like a pair of hungry foxes. They'll be here soon, but I wonder if they know they're not the only ones approaching. Mortals are coming this way. Warriors, armored in steel and stone, bearing instruments of death. I don't like them, but don't misunderstand my reasons. I understand death is necessary, a vital part of the natural cycle of being, but these people only take and don't give back. They pave over the land with roads that do not curve. They use their axes and saws to clear the land of growing things. They're an empire of angles and order. Angles? Angles and order. Nearby trees bend away from them in response, but they don't notice, of course. Mortals almost always miss their impact on the world around them. Okay, interesting. A woman with long brown hair is the first to enter my wooded glade. She taps spurred heels to her horse's flanks and rides in a circle, scanning the tree line and ground for signs of life that might mean her harm. Her eyes are cold, and she surveys the beauty of the trees like a woodsman sharpening an axe. She halts her mount in the middle of the glade and sits in silence. She hears birdsong. The fighting of the forest, the sighing of the forest, and the burbling stream flowing over time-smoothed rocks. Most people who come here are calmed by these sounds, their souls replenished simply by being in nature. But not her. Hello, Minimalista! Welcome! We're reading League of Legends lore, Noxus and Draven's short story. Which seems to be more about Yordle so far. None of the forest's energy touches her, and I don't know whether to feel sad or angry. The woman is patient, and only after several minutes pass... Hello! The woman is patient, and only after several minutes pass does she lift her arm and spread her fingers wide. Moments later, a dozen riders appear at the edge of the glade. Their horses are exhausted, flanks lathered white and heads bowed. These animals have carried their riders a great distance, so I extend a little magic into their tired limbs. Oh! Oh, thank you so much! D. Dylan51 for the prime! Thank you! I appreciate it! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you enjoy your stay. Sometimes you also play games. I don't always read, but pretty often. The horses are exhausted. Flanks leather and heads bowed. These animals have carried their riders a great distance, so I extend a little magic into their tired limbs. They whinny and toss their manes in gratitude. A mustachioed man, clad in leather and furs, rides toward the woman. A bronze circlet holds his long dark hair from his face, and his tunic has been cut to show off his muscular build. A wolf-pelt cloak mantles his shoulders, and a pair of circle-grip axes are slung at his back. I knew it. Of course. Like the woman, his gaze makes me fear what he might do to the trees. Yes, I think I dislike him even more than the woman. What took you so long, Tamara? He says. Afraid we'll be ambushed? Tamara. She ignores his questions. We should make camp here, Draven. Fresh water and plentiful wood. It's broad and wide, too, so there's limited avenues of approach. Spoken like a true Noxian war mason. You say that like it's a bad thing. She slides from her saddle, and as soon as her boots hit the ground, I recoil from the stone in her veins, the iron in her soul. The sounds in the glade dim, but none of the humans notice. I want to reach the capital before we die of old age, says Draven. The fighting in Basilic was fun, but I need to get back to the arena and put these axes to good use. You also want to go back and tell Darius you'd rather his army advance without a war mason carefully scouting the way? We're in no danger, says Draven. Not in the Empire's heartland. She folds her arms. You heard what happened to Wintory outside Drekken? No, shrugs Draven. But you're going to tell me, aren't you? She looks at him, then sighs and shakes her head. What would be the point? It's not about you, so you're not going to care. Typical egocentric asshole Draven. Beautiful. I listen to them trade insults back and forth, but I'm confused at how the words they say don't match the shimmering colors of their auras. It's a source of great confusion to me that mortals spend so much time saying things they do not mean and feeling things they do not express. There's an honesty to nature, albeit a bloody one, you can count on. It's nightfall when the Yordles get here. I feel the irresistible call of their key and push a little of my power into the spirit realm to open the way. What? Was this all Draven we're gonna get in this short story? If that's the case, that's insane that it's on his page. I guess he was mentioned, so of course, I guess it makes sense. We'll see. Maybe they'll come back. One of the silverbark trees shifts her branches windward slightly, and the last rays of sunset complete a glowing amber pattern on the gnarled knot of her mossy trunk. Shadow, light and ridged bark combine to form an endless loop that, from a certain angle and a certain height, looks like a portal into a land of eternal sunrise. Whispers and song echo from the arbor in the heart of the tree. The Noxians are busy with their horses, and the animals make enough noise that the humans don't hear it. It sounds like the winds are speaking, passing secrets between the trees. Maybe they are. You can never really know what the winds are saying. Well, maybe the blue bird of the seas knows, but she doesn't roam far from the sunken city these days. The grass around the base of the silverbark ripples in a warm breeze that carries a multitude of stories from another realm. I've heard hundreds of them, but the Yordles have an inexhaustible supply, and I never tire of learning of their travels. There's a soft pop of air, like a bubble bursting on the surface of a lake, and two diminutive forms tumble out from the tree. They roll into the high grass, looking surprised to find themselves in a forest glade. One of them immediately picks herself up and brings her big cannon to bear. Tristana! She spins around, left and right. She draws a bead on a rabbit with a half-chewed ear, poking a twitching nose from its burrow. "Did you do this?" she asks. The rabbit doesn't answer, but then rabbits are stoic. You want the secret kept, but have to tell someone? Tell a rabbit. They'll take it to their grave. I know this Yordle. She's called Tristana, and she looks mad. Like she's ready to march off to fight, but forgot which way the war was. Her purple skin is flushed a deeper shade than normal, and her white hair is swept back in a tight ponytail. She hefts her cannon and aims it toward the rabbit. It hops forward, unfazed by the threat. "I won't ask again," says Tristana, "and Boomer never misses." The rabbit twitches its nose, cool as winter frost. Tristana's traveling companion sits up. A tiny, winged fairy circled her head. Ah, Lulu and Pix. Her wild purple hair billows in a wind that only seems to affect her, and her tall hat sits at a funny angle. It slipped over her eyes, and she taps around her with a curling stick. "I've gone blind," she says. "That's new." Tristana keeps her gaze locked on the rabbit and holds up a hand to silence Lulu, but her friend doesn't see it. Lulu gets up and walks in a circle, tapping the ground in front of her. The flowers duck and the buzzing glitter bugs scatter before pigs can pluck their wings. Damn, Pigs is a menace. Lulu's fairy companion is cute, but he's got a strange sort of humor. I can't ever tell if he's really funny or rude. Maybe it's both. "Tristana, are you there?" says Lulu. Tristana sighs in exasperation. She taps 2 fingers to her eyes, then points them at the rabbit with a stern look. "I'm watching you, Flopsy," she warns. Her jaw drops as she finally notices the humans in the glade. She darts over to Lulu and pushes her back against a tree. The portal they fell from is already fading as the light changes. "Humans!" she hisses. "Where?" says Lulu. "It's all dark, but then sometimes I see more with my eyes closed." Tristana sighs and pulls the brim of Lulu's hat up. Lulu blinks and hugs Tristana. "It's a miracle!" "Quiet!" hisses Tristana, and Pix darts down to sap a tiny spike of a violet light at her cheek. Tristana bats the fairy away with a grimace. I bend the shadows around the trees a little. Humans sometimes have a hard time seeing Yordles, at least as they really are. But I think the woman with the cold eyes might be sharper than most, and I don't want to see these two get hurt. Tristana glances around the tree. The Noxians are making camp, but I'm relieved to see they're not lighting a fire. Draven is grumbling about that, but Tamara is adamant they not broadcast their presence. I make sure all the wood in this glade is green and not good for fires. Doesn't stop everyone who comes this way from trying their luck with an axe or saw, but most of them. Tristana nods to herself. "They haven't seen us," she whispers. "Good." They look friendly, says Lulu, peeking over Tristana's shoulder. I think we should say hello. They're Noxians, replied Tristana, and I feel her exasperation. You don't talk to Noxians unless you want to lose your head. Why? Do they like collecting heads? Tristana rolls her eyes, finally taking the time to examine her surroundings. I lift up some flowers and wave to her. She can't help but feel the magic in the glade, and waves back. Some people say Tristana's all business, and so very serious, but I know better. She looks up at the tree and gives it an experimental rap with her knuckles. She taps gently around the bark, before finally hearing a booming echo from deep inside the tree. Some of the Noxians look up, and she winces. I creak some branches, and persuade the water to splash playfully over the rocks. The Noxians return to their work. Tristana nods and says, thanks, before turning back to Lulu and asking, right, where's the whispering key? The what now? The thing we've been using to travel through all the portals. Remind me, what did it look like? It looked a little like a compass made of carved stone. Oh, you mean my doodad? Okay, so that's what that is. Now I finally know that. Begins Tristana before settling on. Yes, that's what I mean. Lulu does a pirouette and pats herself down, checking pockets that seem to appear and disappear at random. She closes one eye and bites her lip, pulling out coins, dice, ships of precious stones, and glittering fluff, but nothing resembling a key. I just had it. Yes, you did, agrees Tristana through gritted teeth. You used it to open the portal on the beach while we were running from that pack of crag wolves, after we dropped in on Poppy. Poppy. I like Poppy, but she's so serious, says Lulu, stomping around as if she's marching on a parade ground. She pauses to stare at Tristana. Wait, are you and her actually the same Yordle? No, of course we're not, sighs Tristana. Now will you hurry up, please? You could be, you know. Same hair and that little furrow just above your nose when you get mad. See, there it is. Getting angry with Lulu won't do any good. It would be like chasing a cub that's stolen your shoe. It's all part of a fun game. I send a cooling breeze to ruffle Tristana's white hair, but it doesn't seem to help. The whispering... I mean, your doodad? Can you just get it for me? Oh, right, yes. I was looking for that, wasn't I? Yes, you were. Lulu sighs, making a theatrical show of befuddlement. She looks up at the darkening sky and snaps her fingers. No wonder I can't find it, she says. It's too dark. She lifts her crooked staff, and Tristana's eyes widen as she realizes what Lulu's about to do, but it's too late to stop her. A stream of glitter bursts from the end of Lulu's staff and explodes like a swarm of dancing fireflies overhead. The glade is bathed in the glow of 1,000 stars and a secret gathering of moons. Aha! Says Lulu, finally pulling out something from a fold in her tunic. It looks like a cross between a budding seed pod and a curling seashell. A rainbow of colorful lines swirls on its surface, and what looks like tiny tadpoles swim inside it. Here it is! Tristana looks horrified as the light from Lulu's staff floods the glade, but before she can react, a spinning axe blade flashes between the two of them and buries itself in the bark of the tree. Lulu almost jumps out of her skin, and the seed pod seashell flies from her hand. The silver bark cries out in pain, so I pour magic up through her roots and into the heartwood. Vivid amber sap oozes from the gouge in the wounded tree's bark, pinning the axe in place. Lulu's doodad sails through the air to land somewhere in the middle of the glade. It rolls into the tall grass, and I feel its primal energies pulse outward in a rippling wave. Oops, says Lulu. A veritable flurry of black-shafted arrows slice through the undergrowth as the Noxians respond the only way they know how. Get back! Shouts Tristana, swinging Boomer around and dragging Lulu away to find cover behind a moldy log covered in moss and ivy. An arrow punches into the rotten wood. Another splits the night a hair's breadth from Tristana's ear. Lulu squeals and picks darts to Tristana's side. Fresh wildflowers of blue, gold, and crimson instantly bloom on a dead wood. Tristana fires Boomer. Blam, blam, blam! Everyone ducks. Noxians, rabbits, and glitterbugs. Even the worms burrow deeper. Boomer's cannonballs streak burning streamers across the glade, and spouts of water leap from the stream to cool them as they ricochet from the rocks. The last thing we want is a glade is a fire. The last thing we want in the glade is a fire. Spread out, yells Draven, running to retrieve his axe from the silverbark's trunk. The Noxians are quick to obey. Say what you want about the Noxians, and I've heard plenty of humans passing through my glade who have a lot to say about Noxians. They're disciplined. Tamara runs to her horse and draws a slender rapier from a saddle scabbard. She grins at Draven and says, "No chance of an ambush, eh?" Draven shrugs, and his aura gives no sense of any alarm or care at being proven wrong. All I sense is glee at the chance to spill blood. Yes, I definitely dislike him more than Tamara. The Noxian warriors spread through the glade, moving forward in pairs, as archers loose steady volleys of arrows to keep the two Yordles from moving. I know nothing of war, but even I can see the deadly tactics of the Noxians will see Lulu and Tristana dead. I'm all for fun and games, but I don't want anyone killed. Magic surges through the ground in a powerful wave. I weave loops of grass that tangle the feet of the first Noxian soldier, a great brute of a man with a double-bladed axe. He goes down hard, slicing open his arm as he falls flat on his face. His companion trips over him, dropping her sword, and the man cries out in pain as it stabs a handspan into his buttocks. Oh. Urge. An amberwood tree twists its trunk and whips its willowy branches around like a catapult. It smacks a crouching archer in the face, and he topples backwards. The arrow he was poisoned to lose goes straight up in the air. A careful gust of wind, and it plunges down between his legs, tearing his breeches open at the crotch. He yelps in alarm and scrambles back on his haunches. Tristana fires again, and Pix jumps onto her head, punching the air and shouting squeaking insults with every shot. Flowers fall from the air above the tiny fairy, and I see more than one arrow deflected around the Yordle gunner by their shimmering petals. "Can you see your doodad?" shouts Tristana over the cannon's noise. Lulu spins her staff around and springs onto its shepherd's crook handle. She shades her eyes with one hand and peers through the fading illumination. An arrow slashes toward her, but the coiled point of her hat smacks it from the air. "Nope, but then I don't know what it looks like now." "What do you mean you don't know what it looks like now?" Lulu spins in a spiral down her staff, and daisies spring up around her as she lands. "The doodad's a bit flighty, you see. Every time I put it down, it likes to try out a different shape." Tristana groans as Lulu sends a blazing shaft of sparkling light through the trees. A pair of Noxians are hurled through the air. They land in the stream, and I immediately mob them with a knot of frogs. The tongues of bucket frogs are coated with slime that will give them waking dreams, and I'll just send them to the moon and back. "So we could look like anything?" asks Tristana. "Pretty much," agrees Lulu. "Just look for it out of the corner of your eye. It only changes if it thinks you're looking right at it." "I never thought I'd say this, but I wish Heimer was here right now," says Tristana. "We could really use his hex goggles." "Don't be silly," says Lulu. "That would take all the fun out of this." Tristana spins on her heel to fire at a Noxian leaping toward her. Her cannonball punches him square in the chest, and he flies back into a thorny bush that suddenly gets a lot more thorny. "Fun?" she says. Then she grins. "You know what? You're right. Let's have some fun with these numpties. Grab on." Lulu laughs and throws her arms around Tristana's neck as if she's about to give her a big sloppy kiss. Tristana fires again, and this time her cannon is aimed at the ground. The two Yordles erupt from behind the flowery, arrow-studded log and arc over the heads of the advancing soldiers. The Noxians watch in open-mouthed surprise as the two Yordles spin over their heads, giggling musically as they go. Who knows what the Noxians are seeing? Something strange, no doubt. A Yordle's glamour is an inconstant thing, and even they don't know how others see them most of the time. Gleaming bolts corkscrew from Lulu's staff, and everywhere they hit, Noxians are thrown from their feet in a spray of petals and sparks that burn like drops of venom. The two Yordles land on the run, and while Tristana spins around, firing at any Noxians who rear their heads, Lulu scrambles around on all fours in search of her doodad. "Here, doodad," she whispers to the grass. "Pretty please, with sprinkles on top? I'll let you take us somewhere you want to go next." The doodad, or whatever it's really called, doesn't respond, but I sense it rolling away from Lulu. Well, not really rolling as much, more making itself be where she isn't. It's a thing of old and powerful magic, but not without a childish sense of whimsy. It's like it thinks this is a fun game. Perhaps it is, as Lulu is laughing with delight, spinning around and bounding through the glade like a weasel chasing its own tail as she chases her doodad. It turns into a large snail as Lulu gets close to it, and when she takes her hand away, Sticky, it turns into a puff of light before reappearing behind Lulu as a stick man tottering away on mismatched legs. Tristana's keeping the Noxians' heads down with a barrage of cannon fire. I hear Draven finally wrench his axe from the silver bark, its edge all gummy with sap. He turns and moves from cover to cover, stalking Tristana like a cat, all taut limbs and steely focus. He draws his arm back, ready to throw his other axe. A squadron of buzzing wasps swoops in and swarms him as a battalion of angry squirrels drop from the trees. His axe flies wide of the mark, thudding back to earth where the Noxian horses used to be. Now there's only a mess of hoofprints and a few discarded saddles. Draven spins around in a frenzy, pulling the scratching, biting squirrels from his arms and neck. Squirrels are the thugs of the forest. Rabbits might be stoic, but squirrels will bite your ear off as soon as your back's turned. Lulu's not even looked up. She's still running in circles and giggling like a child as she shoots puffs of light from her staff. With an explosive burst of speed, Tamara breaks from the cover and runs straight for Lulu. I use my magic to throw distractions in her path. Frantic moles dig holes before her, but she weaves between their hasty traps. The thorny stems of a hook brush whip at her, but she skids under them. She looks around, starting to understand she has another enemy here, one she can't see or fight. "Gotcha!" cries Lulu, finally grabbing hold of her doodad. Now it looks like a knotted bunch of twigs held together by loops of grass and spider webs. Tamara dives over a coiling root I rip up from the earth and rolls to her feet. The last sparkles of Lulu's starbust gleam on the rapier as Tamara pulls it back to strike. And then Tristana's there. She hefts Boomer as if her cannons suddenly gotten heavier. A lot heavier. "That's my friend, Buster," she says and pulls the trigger. The booming thunder of the cannon is deafening, and birds as far away as 2 rivers west take to the sky at the noise. A blazing tongue of fire erupts from the muzzle as a giant cannonball blasts out. The force of the recoil spins Tristana around, but that's nothing compared to what it does to Tamara. She flies backward like she's been punched by an angry stone golem. He vanishes into the trees, and I don't think she'll be getting up anytime soon. Then Tristana is hauled from her feet by the scruff of her neck. Boomer drops to the earth, and Draven holds her up to his face with a bemused grin on his scratched and bleeding face. "Now, what in the name of the wolf are you?" "Put me down, you big oaf!" yells Tristana. She kicks and swings her fists at him, but not even her pluck can overcome the length of his limbs. Draven cocks his head to one side, clearly wondering what he's gotten his hands on. "Hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size?" yells Lulu, aiming her staff towards Draven. Swirling fireworks ripple up and down its length, but Draven doesn't look impressed. "Do your worst, shorty," he says. "You ain't got nothing can hurt Draven." The fireworks shoot out of Lulu's staff in a storm of light. And miss. Draven laughs, spinning his axe up. But then a tall shadow falls over him, and he slowly turns around. That's when he realizes Lulu didn't miss at all. The A rabbit with a half-shoot ear looms over Draven, twice his height at least. It munches slowly on a carrot that's as long as Draven's arm. He drops Tristana as the giant rabbit taps two stubby fingers of its paw to its eyes, then points them at Draven with a stern look. Draven is a warrior, and has fought his share of monsters, but this is too much even for him. He turns and sprints for the trees, pausing only to scoop up his other axe as he goes. The rest of the Noxians have already fled, or are backing away slowly into the undergrowth of the site of the giant rabbit. Something tells me they will find a different route for their master's army. Thinking about it now, it might be possible we get Sea-Bandle City in the next Arcane season. It would be nice to explain Heimerdinger's disappearance. I have no idea if they're even going to talk about them, like what happened in Arcane at all, or if they're just going to be like, anyway, you know. They probably, maybe they will, I don't know how they will tie them together, or if they're just going to be like, that was Arcane, now it's this. I have no idea. Hopefully they don't just end it, you know. I would like to know more. Maybe they will do it in a later stage, not now immediately. But I always want to see Vandal City. Tristana turns to look at the rabbit with half-shoot ear. Thanks, she says, but the rabbit doesn't reply. Like I said, stoic. It turns and makes its way back to its burrow in a series of thudding hops. By the time it reaches the entrance, it's more or less returned to its normal size. It squeezes into the burrow with a final waggle of its tail and puff of earth. Tristana slings Boomer over her shoulder. Do you have your doodad? Lulu holds it up triumphantly. My very naughty doodad. Shouldn't run off like that. Tristana shakes her head and marches back to the tree they fell out of. Lulu skips after her as Pix buzzes overhead, riding a pair of wasps with a tiny squeal of delight. Lulu catches up with Tristana and waves her doodad at the trees in what might be a predetermined pattern, or might just be her hoping for the best. Whatever it is, it works, and the leafy arbor reappears into the silver bark trunk. Sunrise over the land of the Yordles spill into my moonlight glade. I feel its ancient magic, and I send a pulse of my own through the air, wishing my two friends interesting travels. Lulu pauses and looks over her shoulder. Thank you, she says, and I feel the boundless joy in her heart. The beauty of my glade is made all the richer for it. Come on, we should get going, says Tristana. Why are you in such a hurry? We should be gone before the Noxians return. I don't think they'll be coming back, says Lulu with a wide grin. The light of the portal swells outward in a glowing, rippling spiral to envelop the Yordles. Their forms blur and their voices grow faint as they are drawn away once more. But I hear Tristana's last words, and cold winds pass through the glade in a ripple of unease. They're Noxians, she says. They always come back. So I guess the story was about Draven as well. I still liked it though, but if there was one thing I didn't think that I would read about today, when it came to Draven, was Tristana and Lulu. Because I saw the picture and I was like, how the fuck is Draven gonna be connected to these two? But they made it work. Interesting. Okay. And everything is about Draven. You know what? That is true. Draven is the center of the universe. But that was Draven then. He had a short story after all. With the Yordles. So I'm still like, what? How did that happen? But now it's Katarina, the sinister blade. Never question my loyalty. You will never know what I endure for it. Decisive in judgment and lethal in combat, Katarina is a Noxian assassin of the highest caliber. Eldest daughter to the legendary General du Coteau, she made her talents known with swift kills against unsuspecting enemies. Her fiery ambition has driven her to pursue heavily guarded targets, even at the risk of endangering her allies. But no matter the mission, Katarina will not hesitate to execute her duty amid a whirlwind of serrated daggers. And as we learned last time, she is the sister of Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia and Katarina are sisters. Okay, we have one short story, 2 short stories. I didn't expect less. Some art. Oh wow, no videos, no nothing, no login theme. But I have a feeling that these quote-unquote short stories won't be so short. That's Talon, by the way. Ooh. Okay. Well. Katarina, the Sinister Blade. Born to one of the most respected noble families of Noxus, Katarina du Coteau found herself elevated above others from an early age. While her younger sister, Cassiopeia, took after their politically brilliant mother, Katarina was very much her father's daughter, and the wily General du Coteau pushed her to learn the way of the blade. To cut away the Empire's enemies not with reckless brutality, but deadly precision. He was a harsh teacher with many pupils, and notoriously difficult to impress. So it was that Katarina's childhood, if it can be called such, had little room for kindness or rest. She spent every waking moment honing herself into the ultimate weapon, testing her endurance, her dexterity, her tolerance for pain. She stole poisons from the city's least reputable apothecaries, testing their efficiency in tiny increments upon herself, gradually building her resistance even as she catalogued their effects. She scaled the tallest towers in the dead of night, unseen by anyone. She yearns to do her part for Noxus. She yearns for the opportunity to demonstrate her hidden strengths in service of the Empire and the throne. Her first mark came straight from her father, camped with his warbands on the eve of one of the military's innumerable westward invasions. She was to assassinate a line officer of the opposing army, a low-born wretch by the name of Demetrius. Katarina was livid. She hadn't trained her entire life to have her talents wasted on some dung-heel barely skilled enough to swing a sword. He simply wouldn't do. Instead of her assigned target, Katarina stole into the enemy camp and slit the enemy commander's throat as he slept. It was a flawless execution. It would bring a swift victory and glory to Noxus. It would make her father proud. At dawn, his face daubed with ashes, the vengeful hero Demetrius led a berserk charge into her father's encampment. Dozens of Noxian soldiers were slaughtered, along with the general's personal retinue. Katarina's father himself barely escaped with his life. He was furious beyond words, refusing even to look his daughter in the eye. She had shamed him and their family name. The greatest assassins do not seek recognition or glory, he reminded her. They do not expect to occupy a place of honor at their master's right hand. Overwhelmed, Katarina struck out into the wilderness alone. She would complete her original mission. Demetrius would pay with his life. Even so, her mind swam. Could she ever forgive herself? How had she been so foolish? She was so distracted she didn't see her attacker until he had nearly taken her eye out. For Katarina's failure, General du Coteau had sent another of his prodigies after her, a nameless whelp dragged up from one of the lesser assassin's guilds. But even with blood streaming down her face, the years of rigorous training kicked in, and her blade was in her hands in an instant. 6 hours later, she tossed Demetrius' severed head at her father's feet. She told the general she had considered taking his head instead, but eventually decided, as much as she hated to admit it, that he had done the right thing in ordering her death. She had failed, not just as an assassin or as a daughter, but as a Noxian. And failure must have its consequences. She ran her fingers along the raw, deep gash over her left eye and thought of the price others had paid for her arrogance. She knew she had lost her father's favor and would never regain it. He would raise others in her place, simply to spite her. Still, she vowed to redeem herself, no matter the cost, to rededicate her talents to the Empire, and to become the sinister weapon she always intended to be. So that's how she got her scar. Technically from her own father. Okay. Well, this seems promising. Message on a blade's edge. Echoing footfalls, cold stone floors. A shout from behind. Someone's caught sight of me. Doors flash by as I sprint down the wide hall. Stone archway ahead. My way out of the barracks. Suddenly blocked as an entire patrol skids into view. Not good. Nexus on a blade's edge, Professor! Damn, I missed the Professor. I turn and dash back the way I came. More soldiers careen towards me. My fingertips itch, but there are too many. I vault through a door, slam it shut, and drop the wooden bar across it. An assassin's blades are but one of our weapons. His voice echoes in my head, cemented there by years of training. Know your mark. Know the killing ground. Anything can be a tool to secure the kill. I run through the room, some kind of trophy chamber. Well fortified with a side door leading to a back corridor. Behind me, armor thuds against oak. Iron hinges and strong construction should buy me more than enough time to... My thought is broken by the sound of splintering wood, as a massive axe shoos its way through the frame. Ahead, the other door swings open, and more soldiers pour in. Too many. Too well prepared. They knew I was coming. These soldiers wear Noxian colors, but bear the sigil of a house in open rebellion against the Triferics. So assured of their strength, they spend time painting rather than preparing. How cute. I draw my blades. Those ahead slow their advance, fanning out, weapons at the ready. Behind, those storming through the broken door do the same. They circle, taking a trained formation, 6 in front, 7 behind. Won't be easy. It's more fun when it's a challenge. His voice intrudes again. Think fast, move faster, plan before you engage, then attack on pure instinct. I let a blade fly. It glances off the chandelier hanging above, breaking the chain and sending it crashing down onto the soldiers behind me. 2 bodies hit the floor as candles bounce and sputter out, casting wild shadows and drawing eyes distracted by reflex. Betrayed by reflex. I spin into the nearest distracted man and slide my dagger into his side. He gurgles as his lungs fill with blood. I unsheath my blade from his body with a satisfying squelch and fling it at the second chandelier. It also crashes to the floor, the last sources of light flickering out. At the same time, I sidestep the swing of a charging soldier, letting momentum carry him into the 2 rushing me from behind. Cries of alarm and confusion echo off the stonework as they struggle in the darkness, suddenly uncertain which silhouette friend and which is foe. I don't have that problem. Adapt where others cannot, lead their intuition astray, and their instinct to betray them. I dash forward, low to the ground, scooping up my first blade where it fell. It finds a throat, then an eye, then a kidney, before a shout cuts through the screams. You fools! She's right there! As the remaining soldiers stumble towards me, I close my eyes, sense my second blade where it lies, draw my focus inward, and leap. They cry out in confusion as I disappear from their sight. I land low behind them, snatching up the dagger and spinning, cutting through ankle tendons. I am rewarded with screeches of pain and surprise as 3 more fall. That never gets old. I invert the grip on my daggers and jump, plunging them down into an overhead strike into the shoulders of the man who yelled, then kick off him into a backflip. He falls to the ground as I hurl both blades into the faces of 2 others. Ooh. The butt of a spear smashes into my head. I recoil slightly dazed. With a flourish, the soldiers that caught me off balance brings the spearhead to bear and jabs for my heart. I leap again, appearing in midair, my hand wrapping around one blade and wrenching it from the face I left it in. I barely pivot my attack into a parry as an axe swings toward my ribs, the clang of metal ringing in my ears as I stumble back. The titan of a man wielding the weapon hefts it again, and I leap once more to my remaining blade. I pull it back just in time as another soldier swings a morning star at me, and she smashes through her comrade's face. The weapon's points graze my arm, drawing blood. I roll back and reset in a crouch. 4 remain standing, scattered before me. Several more are injured but still alive. All of them squint at me in the darkness. Clearly, they now know to track my daggers as well as me. Never take a fair fight. The cornered assassin is a deadly assassin. My eyes flit between the exits. Then she strides into the room. Through the side door, flanked by her 2 personal guards, each wielding a crossbow, she has a torch in one hand, a sword in the other. An arrogant smirk dances on her lips. Even in the darkness, she oozes confidence and charm. All other eyes immediately fly to her. My mark. Well, this is disappointing, she drawls. If all the Triforix has to throw at me is a disgraced assassin, then they must be desperate. Her taunt is undercut by footfalls outside the room, reinforcements arriving fast. Clearly, she underestimated the numbers needed to trap me. But that will be of little consolation if I end up dead. If you've been made, vanish. Never take your mark head on. Never kill in the presence of witnesses. I smile and stare into her eyes. Goodbye, Commander. I throw my blade straight up in the air. Crossbow bolts fly toward it, predicting my leap. The 4 standing soldiers charge. Time seems to slow as the blade spins. 1 rotation. 2. I fling the remaining dagger past the charging soldiers at my target. One of the guards shifts in front of her, and the dagger sticks fast in its breastplate. 3. 4. I leap to my dagger. My momentum forces the point through the man's armor, into flesh. I see the white of his eyes, the mixture of shock, pain, and fear. Behind me, I hear the others shout and pivot, impressively fast, still not fast enough. 5. 6. The commander stumbles back and raises her sword, reaction dulled by surprise. I pull my dagger free and lunge forward. My free hand finds her hair, my edge her throat. 7 rotations. Thunk. Another crossbow bolt flies through where I had stood a moment earlier, but I am gone. It pierces the mark's chest as I land back at my falling blade, now plunged into the ground. In one hand I hold a bloody dagger, in the other, the severed head of my mark, her face frozen in surprise. Her body collapses, blood sprays over the stone floor. Her soldiers halt, caught in disbelief and horror. I throw the head down in front of them. Grand General Swain sends his greetings. More soldiers arrive at the doorway. I revel in their gasps and angered cries. Never take your mark head on. Never kill in the presence of witnesses. The voice repeats itself in my head. Somehow it seems quieter than before. I laugh out loud. I am no longer your assassin, father. I have outgrown your timid little rules. I flick blood off my blades and stare down the soldiers before me. Fear is as powerful a weapon as any dagger. Let them see. Let the rumors spread. I am far more than a mere instrument of death. I am the true will of Noxus. Before me, a soldier lets out a shout and charges. I can't help but smirk as I again raise my blades. Not that I mind the killing. Ooh. Okay. So Katarina is a bit like Draven, but more in the shadows. Not as thirsty for attention. Hello, Shane. Welcome. There is something about Noxus and killing, it seems. Interesting. Okay, well, she had one more short story with Talon, then maybe. Which is another assassin, but not from Noxus. The name of the blade. There is copper in the air. The tang of fresh blood rises up to me, my back pressed into the shadows while I study her, as she kills. So more blood. That just comes with if we're talking about Noxus, we're talking about blood. Blood and war and wolves. That just has to be in there. If it's Noxus equals killing and death. And glory and strength. She was driven here. A large chamber, decoratively appointed. 2 exits, but through wide halls and high arched ceilings, it was easy enough for me to follow her, and do it in silence. Her pursuers did not. A charging crash of weapons and armor brought to bear against her. To the uninitiated, she appears trapped, and a cornered assassin is a dead one. And I know well that her blades are but one of her weapons, and far from her keenness. Hello, brain dead shatter. Welcome, welcome. Welcome in to my stream. Where today we are reading some League of Legends universe lore. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm that brain dead shatter. Thank you. I appreciate it, And hello, E in the YouTube chat. Novel? This is not a novel, I get. It's a short story. We are reading, I will say it again, we are reading League of Legends lore. Right now we're reading Noxus lore and also Katarina. Katarina's short stories where we are at now. Just call me brain dead. I will. I'm doing well, thank you very much. But when we're not reading League of Legends lore, I also read a novel called Shadow Slave, which we read almost every stream, except for Mondays, because now I want to read League of Legends lore. And we also play games. Different type of games. I played Risk of Rain 2 recently, and we've played Dead Space. We play Hogwarts Legacy. That's even what it's called. The Harry Potter game, anyway. And other random shit. But yes, hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the follow again. Katarina short story. Right. I recognize the hidden patterns of her strikes, thought translating seamlessly into action. the subtle movements masked by grander gestures as she adapts to exploit every weakness presented to her. I know the teachings that my god, I can't talk anymore. I know the teachings that inform her violence, because they were taught to me as well. Ooh. Wisdom passed down to only a handful, forging a family of purpose, if not of blood. It is her birthright, while for me it was earned in darkened alleyways, and the frothing chokes of slit throats. I see her follow the principles of her teachings, and then I see her break them. Her target appears, and she allows them to see her before the strike comes. There is flourish to the killing, noise, arrogance, wasted energy. Each choice exposes her more, cracking her armor wider, betraying her lineage. My upper lip constricts, desperate to twitch, but I am stone. I am stone. Succumbing to such weakness would only carry me further from the edge. The fuck is the edge? I have seen such ambition before. As a child in the world beneath the Empire, I watched the ambitious rise head and shoulders above their fellows, just high enough for all to see them, standing out from the masses, and then I watched the masses butcher them for it. I learned the sanctuary of shadow quickly, the shield that silence can be, and never forgetting that has kept me alive. I watched her defy them both, blundering to the precipice of failure, and it would not be the first time. I remember. The cold of the forest, the glittering frost on the branch where I perched, watching, waiting for her to appear. When she did, she was wreathed in the ashen smell of the battle cooling just beyond our view. It clung to her as surely as her failure. There is always a price for failure. That day for her, I had been made that price. I planned it all perfectly. I wouldn't allow myself anything less. The slope of the ground, the strength and direction of the wind whistling through the trees, her bearing, her garb, her weapons, and her gait. The small, clean blade held in fingers etched with 1,000 tiny scars of imperfection. It all passed through my mind before I was free to unfold, to strike. There was no sound when I descended. My blade cut air, was interrupted, air again. Blood trailed behind its path, a sluggish bloom of darkest red uncurled into icy air. My momentum carried me past her as I planned. I looked back, my mind calm. What trophy would be proof enough? Her blades? A lock of hair? Her eyes? I turned and saw her standing. She clutched her left eye, blood squirting between fingers, but she didn't fall. My stomach tightened. A bead of sweat trickled down my ribs, despite the cold. She was supposed to fall after the strike. The one strike. She should not be alive. I told her so. The words did not fell her, so I said them again. I screamed them at her. She answered with the edges of her blades. We fought, or rather she fought. She was a blur of red hair and flashing silver, her cuts and slashes propelled by pain, skill, and rage in equal measure. Anger twisted her features, keeping the wound I gave her from closing. I flowed around her, cold and colorless against her passion. 3 times she came close to opening me to the bone, to emptying my lifeblood upon the frosted earth of the forest floor, but emotion betrayed the blows early enough for me to displace myself. The instinct was there, but she did not plan the engagement, and so I kept my blood within me. I glimpsed an opening, once, where I could have ended her. She would have fallen for true this time. Nobody would have known of my mistake, nobody but me. I saw the opening, but I let it pass me by. After my failed strike, I would not try a second, and I should have fallen to her. It was deserved. And should I have fallen to her, it was deserved. I was now no different than she was. She watched me as I put my blade away, and she stopped. She touched her face again, tracing a wound that would never leave her. So, what the fuck, bro? How is this possible? Because before it was like, oh, her Her father sent an assassin after her that gave her the scar on her eye. But now this person is like, oh, I gave her the scar. And I was like, bro, you died. Didn't he? Maybe he didn't die. Maybe he didn't die. Because I was like, she brought the fucking head. But that wasn't of the assassin. That was of the guy that she failed to kill the first time. Did she ever say she killed the assassin that was sent after her? Maybe she didn't. Okay. Oh well. Breath. She touched her face again, tracing a wound that would never leave her. Breath feathered out from the cold, angry slashes from her nose as she spoke. Her own failure that brought me here loomed over her, and she was resolved to set it right, to atone for it. Okay, so this is the assassin then. I could not bring myself to stand in her way, not anymore. The hypocrisy would be too great. My duty was to return and face judgment, and see what price I had to pay. Before turning back toward the battlefield, leaving the way she came, she asked me who I was. She did not ask if her father sent me. That much was clear to her, all but the name of the blade he sent. I did not have an answer for her. My name had never mattered. I told her so, but saw she would not relent. I thought back, remembering the world under the Empire then. Down there, in those final, blood-soaked days before I left it all behind, they called me Talon. Oh, so it is Talon. Blood spreads out across the stones from her target. Now her kill. I watch her make quick work of the soldiers who remain to challenge her. I imagine myself in the place of the last of them, seeing the openings he does not, before his head rolls from his shoulders and he joins the dead. For a handful of seconds, she admires her work. She is smiling, the pale scar bisecting her left eye flexing. The smile goes cold. Does she sense me? Before she disappears down the corridor like smoke. I wait a moment, two, and then I allow myself to breathe again. Muscles clamped tight for hours loose in a fraction. Only now, with her gone, do I produce the knife. My fingers are pebbled with 1,000 scars, each a single tiny step on my path towards the edge. That unattainable perfect state I strive for. I spin the knife in a quick, practiced orbit, then again, and again. The blade is clean. The blood that once grazed it on that day long since crumbled away, waiting for the day I might be made a prize for a failure again. I call it Katarina. Well, he named his blade after her. Okay, so Katarina's dad sent Talon after Katarina, but Talon was like, nah, I'm not gonna kill her. But Talon gave Katarina her eye scar. What? Okay. No idea. That's cool. I like it. I like when the champion's lore mixes together, you know? Okay, cool. Talon gave Katarina her scar. Sick. Very cool. Oh, the Talon is from Nexus. What? I didn't know that. Not Nexus. Yes, he's from Nexus. Noxus. Aha. And here I said before, like, oh, he isn't from Noxus. Not that I would know. He's not from Ionia, so it makes... What the fuck? Okay. Oh well. Now we have Draven, we have Katarina. Now it's time for more Yordle business with Kled. I have no idea what the fuck his lore is. I am... I wonder what the fuck I'll be greeted with. It will be some fucked up shit though. Hopefully funny. I just know he's crazy. He's crazy. And in League, he has a voice line where he swears. So it's bleeped, which is very funny. Oh. But here we have Kled. the Cantankerous Cavalier. Cantankerous? I've never heard this word. He is insane. A sane man would run, but I ain't the running kind. Yeah. As you see here, he's batshit. A warrior as fearless as he is ornery, the Yordle Kled embodies the furious bravado of Noxus. Many claim Kled has fought in every campaign the war hosts have waged, acquired every military title, and never once backed down from a fight. Though the truth of the matter is often questionable, one part of his legend is always the same. Charging into battle on his untrusty steed, Skarl, Kled fights to protect what's his, and takes whatever else he can get. Skarl. Oh, Skarl. Oh, he has a short story. Oh, that's... I look forward to it. Okay. Let's see this fucking bio of his. Legends of the popular folk hero Kled can be traced back to the founding of Noxus, and perhaps even further still. He is an icon revered by common soldiery, which is increasingly a cause of concern to their commanders, for there are some among the war hosts who claim to have literally served beside him. Tall tales such as the Great Hussar's Victory, the Return of the High General Marshal Sergeant, and the Mountain Admiral abound, which strongly imply Kled has fought in every campaign ever waged, acquired every military title, and never once backed down from a fight. Though the details are often outlandish and contradictory, the essence of the tale remains. Charging into battle on his untrusty steed Skarl, Kled fights to protect what's his, and takes whatever else he can get. In truth, the Cantankerous Cavalier hails from another land entirely, Vandal City. As a Yordle, he made his home among the proud Noxie tribes in the wake of the Rune Wars, and has never looked back. The earliest mention of Kled in historical records was at the First Battle of Drugn in the dusty hills of those Badlands. The war host of General Savan was on the run from barbarian foes. Having lost the previous 2 engagements, morale was low. The supply train had been abandoned in the route, and they were a week's march from the nearest outpost. Savan and his spotless armor seemed more concerned with how this would appear back home than the welfare of his soldiers, and ordered a defensive circle formation to buy himself time to think. Then, as the morning sun rose, the lone figure of Kled appeared on the hilltop, mounted upon a desert Dracolops. The warrior's weapon was rusted, his armor worn, his clothes tattered, but contempt and anger burned in his one good eye. He bellowed an ultimatum to the barbarian horde, demanding that they leave this land or be destroyed. However, he did not wait for any response, spurring his steed and screaming the charge. Desperate, starving, and furious with their general, the Noxian war host's anger ignited at the sight of this act of bravado. They rushed after Kled as he tore into the enemy. What followed was one of the bloodiest melees ever fought on the northern steppes. The initial momentum of the counterattack was crushed beneath a hail of barbarian arrows from higher grounds, but Kled fought on even after he was thrown from his saddle and his Dracolops fled. He always seemed to be at the heart of the battle, chopping down foes, kicking out teeth, and biting faces. The bodies piled up around him, and his clothes were soaked with blood. He screamed louder challenges and cruder insults. Clearly, this great warrior was willing to die before ever backing down. Cowardice can be infectious, but so too can courage. Where the Noxians might have given up and fled for their lives, instead they were inspired to make one last stand. Even Kled's Dracolops returned, and crashed into the barbarian's rearguard, snarling and clawing as it dived in to free its master. With his mount again beneath him, Kled became a veritable whirlwind of death, and it was the barbarians who broke and ran. Though too few of the Noxian soldiers survived that day for it to be considered a victory, Drugn was contested long enough that word reached Immortal Bastion, and reinforcements were sent. The war ground on for at least another decade, until the barbarian leaders sued for peace. Their strength was added to Noxus, and Draven became a foothold for continued campaigns across Dalamore and the north for many centuries to come. The body of General Savan and his fine armor was never found. In time, countless other war hosts of the Empire acquired similar stories of Kled. It has long been said that he rides wherever Noxians march, claiming the spoils of war for himself. Indeed, in their wake, good-humored signs can often be found proclaiming each new territory property of Kled. Signs. He put up signs. This is mine. My god. How cute. Oh, and here they are. Scarl. Where the Dracolops roam. Is this where he finds Scarl? How he befriends Scarl? Please. Befriends might not be the... How he claims. Scarl. That would be cute. I want to know that, please. The northern steppes ain't the place for fancy undies and golden piss pots. Okay, I can see whose perspective we're talking from here. It's tough land. Ain't nothing go here but barbarian raiders, poison grass, and harsh winds. To survive, you gotta eat rocks and crap lava. And I'm the toughest, meanest, killingest bastard in these parts. So I figured that makes these plains mine. He put up a sign. But how did I end up here? And why am I alone with your dumb yellow hide? I say out loud. I say out loud, starting it off again. Skull snorts her response from the rocks she's sunning herself on. Her scales is dark metal with hints of gold. Ain't nothing can break that Dracolop skin. I've seen a steel sword shatter against her leg. Don't make her fart smell any better, though. I'm calling you a damn coward. You got something to say about that? It says as it looks up and yawns. It was a hooked grouse, no bigger than my hand, and you run. Darn dumb, stupid animal. How do I say? Grief, Urglarg. Scarl asks as it swats the flies away from its half-open eyes. Oh god, retort. Yeah, real funny, right? Ha ha ha. I'm damn tired of your hysterical pontifications. I should leave here to die. That's what I should do. You die of loneliness. Hell, you wouldn't last a day without me. Scarl lays its head back down on the rock. There ain't no use in communicating with her. I should forgive her. But then, and no doubt to mock me, her sphincter splutters rhythmically as she breaks wind. The smell hits me like a frying pan. What the fuck? That's it, you bastard! I throw my stinking hat onto the ground and march away from the campsite, swearing I'll never set eyes on that foul-mouthed Dracolops again. Of course it was my good hat, so I have to trot back and snatch it off the ground. Yeah, keep sleeping, you lazy flap rat, I say as I walk away. I'll do the patrol. Being 10 moons from any farmstead don't preclude doing the patrol. It's my land, and I am to keep it that way, with or without the treasonish lizard's help. Oh my god. The sun's dragging its way down to the horizon by the time I reach the hills. This time of day, the light plays tricks on you. I meet a snake who wants to discuss pie crusts, except it ain't a snake. It's the shadow of a rock. What? Damn shame. I have some darn specific notations about pie crusts. At least when I remember what they are again. I ain't had a proper conversation about the subject in years. I am about to take a swig of my mushroom juice and explain my views to the snake when I hear them. Drake hounds howling and braying. It's the sound those beasts make when they is herding Elmarks. And if there's Elmarks, then there is humans. And those humans is trespassers. I scramble up on a nearby boulder and check north first. The rolling hills of my grasslands is empty, save for the iron butters scattered across the horizon. But then the braying sounds might be the mushroom juice playing tricks on my head, but then I turn south. They is about a halfway. I can't with this text. It's so hard to read. The Drake Hound. No, they is about a half day's walk from this hill. 300 Elmarks grazing on my land. The Drake Hounds circle around the herd, but there is no horses. A few humans walk around them on foot. Humans don't like walking, so I don't take a genius to figure they must be part of some larger convoy then. Of course, I am a genius, so that was easy to figure. My blood begins to boil. That means more damn trespassers, disturbing my peace. Here, when I was about to have a lovely conversation about pie crust with that snake, I take another sip of mush juice and head back to the campsite. Get up, lizard, I say as I grab my saddle. It raises its head, grunts a response, and returns to laying in the cool grass. Get up, get up, get up, I yell. There's trespassers invading the peaceful serenity of our environs. It looks at me blankly. I forget sometimes you don't understand me when I am speaking. I buckle the saddle onto its back. There's humans on our land. It stands and its ears perk up nervously. Humans. That word it knows. I jump into the saddle. Let's get those humans, I roar, indicating our southward destination. But the damn beast immediately starts going north. No, no, no! They's that way! That way! I say, using my reins to pull the cowardly beast back in the right direction. The Dracolops cries as it kicks off. In an instant, she's running. The insane speed of it makes my eyes close. Scrub grass whips painfully against my legs. A cloud of dust billows behind us. Would it take me half a day of walking is past before I can get my hat tied down. Gorvulgar, the Dracolop screeches. Now don't be like that. Weren't you saying you wanted company last night? The sun is just starting to dip below the horizon when we reach the herd. I slow Scarl to a trot as we approach the humans' campsite. They'd already started a fire and have a stew going. Hold, stranger. Show your hands before we approach, a human in a red hat says. Their leader, I figure. I slowly take my hands off the reins, but instead of putting them down, I pull my long axe from its saddle loop. I don't think you understand me, old-timer, the human in the red hat says again. His fellows ready weapons, swords, lassos, and dozen repeater crossbows. Growler! Scarl growls, ready to leave already. I got it under control, I tell my lizard, before turning my attention back to the humans. I ain't impressed with your fancy city folk weapons. Now I'm giving you one warning. Get off my land, or else. Or else what? A younger human asks. You boys best know who you're dealing with, I say. This is Scarl. She's a Dracolops, and I'm Kled, Lord Mayor Admiral of the 2nd Legion's Forward Artillery Cavalry Multiplication. Yeah, several of the humans start snickering. I'll learn them soon enough, once I'm done talking. And what makes you think this is your land? Asked the human in the red hat, smirking. It's mine. I took it from them barbarians. It's property of Lord Vakul. He was granted it by the High Command. It's his by rightful dispensation. Well, High Command, why didn't you say so? I say before spitting on the ground. The only law a true Noxian respects is strength. He can have it if he can take it from me. You and your pony best be moving on while you still can. I forget sometimes humans don't see us like we see them. It's the last straw, though. Charge! I scream and snap the reins. The Dracolops kicks off, and we rush them. I mean to make a clever retort first, but I got ahead of myself. The humans let loose their first volley, but Scarl raises her ears. Like giant bronze fans, they shield us as the crossbow bolts ricochet off her impenetrable flesh. She roars happily as we dive through their camp at the leader in the red hat. Swords clang against Scarl's hide while my axe swings. I turn 2 of them humans into confetti. The bastard in the red hat's quick. He ducks under my blade as we pass by. Another volley of crossbow bolts hits us. Scarl screams in fear. Damn things, unkillable and immortal, but easily spooked. Problem with magical beasties. They don't make no sense. I yank the reins and we ride back into the middle of the humans. I easily kill the rest of his men, but the red hat bastard's a tough one. My blade slams into him, but the blow clangs dully against his heavy breastplate. That should give him something to think about anyway. That's when the ballista fires. The bolt is longer than a wagon. It smashes into the Dracolovs, knocking my long axe from my hand and sends us rolling to the ground. Scarl ain't hurt, but she shakes me off the saddle and runs for the hills. You ungrateful bastard! We had the Frosigims and the Razabuts! I mean to scream more insults, but my words start tripping over themselves. I roll to my feet. Dust and grass cover my face. I throw my hat toward the cowardly lizard's path, then turn back to kill the man in the red hat. But behind him, on the hill line, is another 100 of them humans. Iron warriors, blood runners, and a wagon-mounted ballista. Red-hatted blurf herder brought most of a legion with him. You ain't nothing but a derned sneaky sneak, I scream. You don't look like much, he says, but I guess you're the one who's been giving Lord Vakul's ranchers so much trouble. Vakul ain't no real Noxian. Your lordship can kiss my lizard's puckered mudflap. Maybe I'll let you end your days in Lord Vakul's fighting pits, if you can learn to keep your mouth shut. I'm gonna rip your lips off and use them to wipe my butt, I roar. I guess I don't like that, 'cause him and his 100 friends start running at me, weapons drawn. I could run, but I don't. They'll pay dearly to kill me. Red Hat's fast. He's nearly on me before I can recover my weapon from the ground. His blade is high. He's got a killing stroke, but I've got my hidden scatter gun. The blast sends him to the ground. It knocks me back too. I tumble end over end. The single shot buys me some time, but not much. The blood runners are closing fast. Their hooked blades is ready. I'm gonna die in this turd stain. Well, if it is my last stand, might as well make it a good one. I dust myself off at the first line of blood runners' attacks. I'm carving those dark magical bastards apart, but they're cutting me to ribbons. I'm beginning to tire from the effort and loss of blood. Then the Iron Warriors scream their battle cries as they charge in their thick black armor. They've split into 2 groups, doing one of those pinching maneuvers. Plan on using those 2 walls of metal to crush me flatter than a Noxian coin. Damn it. Any hope I got of surviving this, it's gone. And that's when I see her. The most loyal, trustworthy, honorable friend an undeserving bastard like me could ever have. Scarl. Riding like hell toward me, faster than I've ever seen her run. A rooster tail of dust is shooting up behind her. The damn lizard even picks up my hat on her way to me. Oh. I run to her just as those black-clad warriors are about to crush me. I leap into the saddle and we circle around the Iron Warriors. There'll be time to kill them after we get rid of that ballista. It's been a while since we took on a whole army together, I say. Riverglar, Scarl screeches happily. Back at you, buddy, I say with a smile wider than a Croxagor's. Sure. 'Cause there ain't nothing I love more than this dang lizard. Aw, cute! He loves Scarl. Oh. Cute. Cute Kled Scarl story. Oh. I enjoyed it even though it was a fucking bitch to read. Anyway, okay. Well, moving on. I am hyped for this. LeBlanc, the Deceiver. The next champion that's up. Let's see first how many. She has 1. Okay. No issue. Okay. A rose cannot grow in darkness. It dies, and the darkness grows. Mysterious even to other members of the Black Rose Cable, LeBlanc is but one of many names for a pale woman who has manipulated people and events since the earliest days of Noxus. Using her magic to mirror herself, the sorceress can appear to anyone, anywhere, and even be in many places at once. Always plotting just out of sight, LeBlanc's true motives are as inscrutable as her shifting identity. Now maybe we'll get some more Black Rose action, I would assume. Very likely, at least. Matron of the Black Rose. LeBlanc's identity is that... Fuck. Can I start at least? I was stupid, like I said LeBlanc and not LeBlanc. And then I fucked up. Matron of the Black Rose. LeBlanc's identity is as intangible as the whispers that describe her, as ephemeral as the illusions that give her shape. Perhaps it is unknown even to her, after so many centuries of mimicry and deception. Remnants of an order that has existed far longer than Noxus itself. Initiates of the Black Rose have schemed from the shadows for centuries, drawing the rich and powerful to their ranks. Though they do not often learn the origins of their matron, many have uncovered legends of a pale sorceress who aided the broken barbarians, tribes, in their struggle against the infamous Iron Revenant, subjugating lands already ravaged by the Darkin. Or the Darkin, okay. Even today, his name is whispered in fear, Mordekaiser. Uniquely skilled among the Revenant's inner circle before she betrayed him, the sorceress pledged to neutralize the source of his power, the immortal Bastion, cutting him off from the well of death that fueled his nightmarish empire. Yet, even as the barbarians built an empire of their own in the Bastion's shadow, they failed to realize that the arcane secrets it held had not completely been locked away. The pale sorceress had always been gifted at illusion, and her greatest trick was to make Noxus forget the dark power roiling in its own heart, before she was burned from the pages of history around the time of the Rune Wars. And congrats, Minimalist, on being first to the stream! Congrats! About time. The Black Rose exists now to further the clandestine interests of those who can wield such magic. With its rank and file composed of mundane nobles, drawn to rumors of miracles, kept in thrall and ruthlessly exploited. Even the most powerful military commander could only ever serve the cult's true masters, as they fight one another for influence in games of intriguing conquest, both in the Noxian capital and beyond its borders. For centuries, LeBlanc has served in secret as an advisor to foreign dignitaries, appearing in many nations at once. Her illusions driving order into chaos. Rumors of a new matron rising with each generation only raise further questions. Which is the true version of herself? When she speaks, is it with her own voice? And what will the price be for the favor she offers? Boram Darkwill was but the latest to learn this last answer for himself. Though the Black Rose had aided his bid for the throne, he refused the counsel of their hand, picked advisors, requiring LeBlanc to take drastic measures, manipulating a young nobleman named Jericho Swain into revealing the cult's involvement. LeBlanc allowed herself to be executed along with the most prominent conspirators, or at least so it appeared. In time, she reached out to Darkwill herself, and found an increasingly paranoid ruler, fearful of his own mortality. After promising him the secrets to extend his life, LeBlanc slowly poisoned Darkwill's mind, even as she empowered him. Under his rule, the Noxian reverence of strength became something far more sinister, and together they ensured Swain's legend would end in disgrace in the battlefields of Ionia. But Swain, emboldened by forbidden lore from within the Immortal Bastion, did something wholly unacceptable, managing to drag Darkwill from the throne and seize Noxus for himself. This new Grand General was not interested in his own legacy, but the glory of the Empire, and such a man could not so easily be corrupted. After countless centuries, LeBlanc wondered. I don't know. LeBlanc, I don't fucking know, I don't care. And she finally found a worthy nemesis. Her actions have pushed Runeterra to the brink of all-out war many times. In the wake of desperate campaigns across the Freljord, on Targon's peaks, and deep in Shurima's deserts, the darkest magic has begun to spread once more, circling closer and closer to Noxus. Whether LeBlanc is still the same pale sorceress she betrayed the Iron Revenant, or merely one of countless hollow reflections, her influence clearly stems from ancient roots. The Black Rose has yet to truly bloom. Ooh, intriguing. And then we have a short story. Is that Darkwill, perhaps? Thorns of the Black Rose. I don't understand, General Grant mutters, nervously trying to smother the light from his lamp. There's nothing here. It's a dead end. He stands at the threshold, framed by the dark stonework against the deeper darkness beyond it. He does not see the open gateway before him, nor the angular Ognon inscriptions that surround it. He does not see the fragments of bone that litter the flagstones beneath his boots. I smile, playing my part. It is the simplest of things, I tell him, to hide in plain sight. The general turns, confusion and frustration written clearly upon his face. Don't play games with me, cousin. Do you have any idea what I'm risking, being down here? Or what would happen if we're caught? These districts are forbidden by order of the council. There are Legion patrols everywhere. This, at least, is true. Ever since the usurper Swain's seized control, he has kept the Immortal Bastion locked down. Officially, it is to protect the Triforix against reprisals from those noble houses that opposed its creation. Unofficially, he is daring men like Brandon Grant to expose themselves as his enemies. But they would not doubt your loyalty, I reassure him. A hero of the Gates of Mourning, no less. You are to be honored by command of the Grand General himself. What can they say to that? If we were spotted, you would not even need to run. His expression darkens. Oh, you don't run from the Trifarian Legion. I do not need to hear this thinly veiled propaganda again. In little more than a year, Swain has built a certain mystique around himself at the hand of Noxus, and those that serve them both. It is a brilliant scheme, though it fills my heart with hatred to admit it. Even so, I let Grant have his moment. It is why we are here. His eyes fall to the ground. We didn't win the Gates of Mourning. The Legion did. That's why Swain won't attend the triumph. He knows we need not even have been there, damn him. He insults us with his pomp and ceremony in front of all Noxus. I nod, laying a hand on Grant's shoulder. And that is why we will make him pay for everything he has done. You are a true Noxian. Anyone can see that. I have told the others all about you, and they wish to meet you for themselves. She wishes to meet you. I can't meet anyone, cousin, if we can't get inside. He glances around. Doesn't the Black Rose... I recoil. Do not use that name. It makes you sound like... Well, as you said, like you don't understand. Pushing past him, I stride through the yawning mouth of the gate. He almost drops the lantern in surprise, seeing the entrance now for the first time. Stumbling after me, Grant checks to make sure we are not being followed, then squints into the shadows of the passageway. Is it true? He hisses. What they say about her, is it true? I do not slow my pace. Come, find out for yourself. The Immortal Bastion is not a monument, as most Noxians believe, nor is it merely a fortress in the sense that the old tribes knew it. The stone around us almost thrum with power, though Grant is mostly oblivious. I have seen it countless times, through the centuries. He knows something is not right, but feels it only as a lethargic drag on his limbs, and a whispering itch in the back of his brain. Few mortals last long when they are this close to the source. To his credit, he still has his wits about him, enough to reach for his dagger when a robed figure emerges from the gloom. I pass both of us, coming in the other direction. I look tired. No matter, this will be concluded soon enough. Grant eyes me suspiciously until I disappear from sight, then ambles to the side of the person he knows as his cousin. Hadrian, who are these people? Grant asks, as more annoying as more anonymous figures come and go. I don't recognize any of them. Are they the allies you spoke of, among the other houses? I sigh. It is disappointing that the finest military minds often cannot see what is right in front of them. They are sympathetic to our family's plight, I reply, keeping the disdain from my voice. We, all of us, are committed to the downfall of the usurper and the restoration of the throne. It is better that you do not know their names or their faces. He scoffs. But how can we work together if we... The words die on his lips as we turn the last corner. We stand at the edge of the great well of souls, plunging down into the bedrock of Noxus, far deeper than the physical dimensions of the bastion should even allow. A roiling miasma of cold blues and jealous greens swirls in the distance beneath us, underlighting the three bridges that span the gap. There, between them, suspended against the madness, is a frightful, hulking silhouette that every Noxian knows only too well. A husk of lifeless armor depicted in every history book, and 1,000 defaced statues scattered across the old city. Grant takes half a step back. It can't be, he murmurs. It can't. His voice is cracking. His eyes glisten with tears. I lean in over his shoulder to whisper behind his ear. Do you see the truth of it now? The truth behind the great empire of Noxus. So has it been for centuries, since the days of the first kings. No grand general, no emperor or tyrant can stand unless the mistress of the immortal bastion allows it. Many are those who would serve, though few prove worthy. I gently pluck the lantern from his trembling fingers and guide him away from the sight that has so transfixed him, toward the veiled alcoves that line the passage on either side. Swain must fall. Our Cabal is utterly committed to this, above all else, and we will sacrifice whatever we must to achieve it. On some level, Grant knows that he will see even before I pull back the shroud. It is the desiccated body of his cousin, Hadrian. The younger man's features are frozen in a deathly rictus, yet there is an unmistakable sense of peace about it. Your house was singled out most unfairly during the coup, Brennan Grant. Your father and his brother were stripped of all they possessed, simply for remaining true to Boram Darkwill at the end. Hadrian gave his life gladly in pursuit of revenge. Will you honor that debt and join us now too? Grant sinks to his knees, looking up at me with fresh eyes. You are her. You are the pale woman. He does not even flinch when a second pale woman appears at my side. We speak with the same voice. I am everywhere. I am everyone. You know only what you need to know, and see what I want you to see. Jericho Swain is not the only one who can exaggerate his own legend. A third pale woman steps out behind Grant, and then a fourth. Even so, he bows his head to me, no doubt convinced he finally understands. He does not need us to point out the empty alcove beside his cousins. With all my heart, he swears, at every drop of my noble blood I will serve you, my lady. I will not rest until the pretender Swain is dead. This naive fool thinks he will be one to land the killing blow. I will let him think that, for it suits my purpose, which is merely to probe the Grand General's defenses. I traced the sigil of the cable in the air above Grant's head, marking him as my own. None who can see it will interfere with the plots we shall soon devise. Rise then, proud son of the Noxie. Proud son of the Noxie. Your pledge is heard and accepted. Together, we will be victorious, and your name will be celebrated as the savior of an empire. Oh, Black Rose stuff. LeBlanc. I wonder. LeBlanc. I wonder if she is the one on the Trifrix with Swain. I assume that it's Swain, Darius, and LeBlanc. Who else, you know? I assume so. It makes sense. Oh, perfect. We read 4 today. We have 8 left. 8 left. But that will be it for today, because my voice is a bit tired now. After 2 hours of reading. But tomorrow we will continue with Shadowslave again, and some gaming probably, depending on the time. Today I had less time though. Sorry for this. But I hope you enjoyed regardless. And thank you for coming to the stream, Professor. Maybe we'll see the Professor tomorrow. Then the wobbles will now hit. But thank you so much for coming and watching regardless. I always enjoy some League lore, so I enjoyed it. And tomorrow I will enjoy some Shadowslave. I'm very hyped for that as well. But in the meantime, feel free to please go and follow me on YouTube and Twitch and Instagram and TikTok and join the Discord. There's also a donations if you are more into that. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a nice rest of your day and that I will see you again tomorrow. Hey, bye bye!